was younger, I hated any and everything feminine. Mom, I thought I already told you I didn't wear pink. What if the other kids at school think I'm a girly girl? Other girls are dumb and only care about boys. Thanks to that, I spent the entirety of my elementary school years looking like I shopped at Hot Topic in the dark. Looking back, I realized how tolerant my mom was, because if that was my child, I would have just left them in the car with the windows down in the middle of a Canadian winter. Because of that thing where sub-zero temperatures make children sleepy. No, that's lobsters. To be fair to 7-year-old me, many other girls had the same idea. According to a 2012 study conducted by the University of Maryland, only 7% of women claimed that their favorite color was pink, with 1% of men doing the same. And why is this the case? It's because we hate women. Okay, that might have been a bit harsh, but it really feels like it. While blue, a boy color, has been long associated with traits like strength and intelligence, pink is associated with softness and sensitivity. And that's my concern. As a society, we've made pink synonymous with weakness. In fact, we hold the same sentiment towards anything feminine. As women, we steer clear of pink, lipstick, and ballet to avoid being perceived as weak. However, this only serves to reinforce that stigma further. Of course, there are more pressing matters that pertain to sexism than our dislike of pink. But we can only begin to understand them once we start addressing why we hate pink to begin with. So today, join me in first, examining how pink even earned its status as a girl's color in the first place. Second, examining how pink reflects our view on women. And third, seeing if there's a way we can change our hue on pink. Amazingly, pink actually used to be deemed a boy's color until the 1940s. Before then, the general consensus was that pink and almost red was stronger and more decided, and therefore was more suitable for boys. However, clothing retailers found it more profitable to market their goods by gender, and so blue and pink switched. But notice how the traits associated with pink go from strong and decided to weak and dainty the moment it becomes a girl's color. This inherent link between feminine and negative transcends the color wheel. While it's socially acceptable for women to wear suits and other masculine items of clothing, the same can't be said for men who choose to wear skirts or dresses. As psychology professor Rich C. Savins Williams notes, considerably more leeway is given to girls and to boys for expressing cross-sex behaviors and interests, which in part reflects the elevated prestige masculinity is given within our culture. Regardless of the gender that's applied to, masculinity carries a sense of prestige, and femininity, pacification. Funny enough, one of the best examples of this can be found in speech and debate, an activity that I participate in. As competitors, it is expected that you attend tournaments wearing a black blazer and black pants, and very rarely will you see someone break away from this dress code. Of course, there will be times when you see an orator wearing an all-pink attire paired with a complimentary pink bow. But very rarely will you see them actually do well. The reason behind this is simple. The more professional you dress, the higher your credibility as a speaker is. But this implication that those who dress in a more feminine way are somehow less knowledgeable undermines the intellectual skills of women. As a society, we still equate professionalism with masculinity. Women change the way they dress, pitch their voice a little lower. Also, they can be taken seriously, and that's where the problem lies. And girls aren't the only ones harmed by a prejudice against femininity. When boys gain interest towards the color pink, they are shamed for liking a color that is deemed too girly, as if it is shameful to like a color that only girls are allowed to take an interest in. As a society, we reprimand boys anytime they take part in traditionally feminine things, whether that's showing vulnerability, empathy, or simply an interest towards the color pink. We tell them to man up, that boys don't cry, to stop being such a sissy. This rhetoric can not only negatively impact how boys end up viewing and treating women, but also how they end up viewing and treating themselves. The National Institute of Mental Health cites in 2019, the suicide rate among men was 3.7 times higher than among women. Because when we raise young children, especially boys, to believe that they're above displaying feminine qualities like vulnerability or empathy, we inadvertently raise them to not only look down on women, but to never show these qualities at all. At best, we raise children that live their lives not knowing how to deal with and express their emotions. At worst, we raise children that do not want to live at all. Now, when I was a young child, my mother actually bought me my own Barbie. Well, not exactly, more like a bootleg Barbie from the dollar store with 2 E's tacked onto the end. Barbie, if you will. And while I adored my Barbie E, pink heels and all, I later learned to be ashamed of my love for dolls. I realized that girls with interests like mine were perceived as dumb or juvenile. 2 things I was terrified of being perceived as. I mean, I wasn't like other girls. I didn't care about boys or pink, and I was smart. When we think of pink, we think of every negative stereotype associated with women. Gossipy girls, weak girls, petty girls, gossipy, weak, petty girls. As women, we try to avoid these stereotypes by not wearing pink in the first place. But the truth is, we dislike pink because we dislike the feminine qualities associated with women. And maybe that's where we should start. Of course, we don't have to solve the issue of sexism right off the bat. Let's start small and work our way up. By redefining our view on pink, we can simultaneously redefine our view on women. Look, who says pink is an inherently feminine or masculine color? Just a century ago, it was considered masculine. Over the years, I've come to realize that I wasn't scared of being perceived to be like other girls because other girls were mean or dumb. I was scared of being perceived to be like other girls because I was conditioned to think of other girls in that way. As I worked to overcome my internalized misogyny, I can once again see how great of a color pink is. It's not femininity or masculinity that is a problem. It's the fact that we stigmatize everything associated with women. And pink isn't the only thing associated with women that's looked down upon. Any female-dominated field like nursing or teaching is also held to a lower standard. As a society, let's recognize that these things aren't secondary to jobs deemed more masculine, like being a doctor or engineer. Both are just as valuable to society. In reality, the one that's held over 200 jobs from equestrian astronaut to computer programmer wasn't Ken, but Barbie. And she did it all in 4-inch pink heels. When I was younger, I loved any and everything pink. It wasn't until I was taught that pink was a lesser color that I began to have an issue with it. As a community, let's work to make it so the next generation can comfortably like pink Barbie dolls and ballet while knowing that they are just as worthy of respect. And as our color story comes to an end, I hope your hue on pink has changed. Thank you.